the 6 o'clock news at any point. But the next thing, I do want to share something with you. I promise it will be the highlight of my time with you. Several years ago, I had the opportunity to see a young man speak at a Points of Light conference in Houston. His name is Gabe Eggerling, and he was just a phenomenal speaker. He's actually an actor now. But the reason when I returned home from Houston, I Googled him and I found the video that I'm going to ask Marlena to play for you. He recorded it when he was 10 years old. I always try to find a reason to share it with people. It's my favorite TEDx ever. This young man started volunteering because of his love for books and his love of reading. He was only 7 years old at the time. He's made a tremendous impact on many people since that time. The way I can tie this into what we're talking about today is I would say that if each of us could find a passion and a love for people like this young man did back when he was just a very small boy, we would easily be able to rise to the occasion and sustain our nonprofits. We need to find more people like this. So Marlena, if you would play that, I would appreciate it. And thank you all so much.
Be happy to, Debbie. Thank you so much. And everybody, we put in the chat, Debbie is going to be available for questions. So if you have any questions for Debbie, please go ahead and put them in the chat now, and we will get to them after this video.
My favorite place to go to when I was little was the bookstore for story time, and I always cashed in my reward charts for books. I loved bedtime stories. It was my time with my mom or dad. It was when busy time stopped and time traveling started on my safe little bed. I remember feeling important to choose all the fun adventures that I got to go on. I would wear superhero masks and superhero capes, acting out superpowers, like other kids would around the world would. After I learned to read to myself, I insisted I would be the reader of the books. The problem was, my mom and dad would only sit still for 1 or 2 stories. The local bookstore said no. Something about kids not being able to command an audience. Finally, my mom found a literacy nonprofit organization. The director, Miss Robin, admitted I was very young, but supported my love of reading and said we could start small and give it a try. Yes, it's Ripple time. This is my chance to go to schools and read to kids who are ready to read. I remember going to my first school. I was 7 years old. We were driving up there and we pull up, and it's this huge school, way bigger than mine. And there are these big, scary Harry Potter looking gates, and all the kids are bigger than me. I was really nervous and sick to my stomach. I reminded myself many times that day that superheroes must be strong. I didn't need my red cape. A few months later, I was reading to schools every month and getting lots of kids excited about reading. Miss Robin even sent me envelopes full of thank you drawings from kids telling me they loved reading at home now. It felt so good to help people. Mission accomplished. Then I met the girl. I had just finished reading a fun book to a classroom of 10-year-olds at a school in Compton, and my Grammy made puppets of my favorite story characters, and I was on fire. I was now brave enough to have a question and answer at the end of story time, and the girl sitting in the middle of the group asked me a question. She asked me, "How can you read so well if you're only 7 years old?" With a proud smile, I told her, "I have a cool library of books at home." Then it happened. I heard her mumble, "Oh, okay, I don't have any books at home." I couldn't say anything. I couldn't move. I wanted to leave. I looked at my mom to please help me. I barely made it to the car before I burst into tears, crying and demanding that we would drive home and give all my books to her. The real truth set in on the drive home that books are really expensive and that we couldn't afford to give mine away. My mom gave me a hug, and she said, "Don't worry, we'll find another way." And I guess we did. I had a birthday, and I got the best idea for it. We would have a milk and bookies party where everybody would bring a book instead of presents. And we would make superhero capes, we draw superheroes, and everybody got milk and cookies. We also got I donate books button. At the end of the party, I collected over 500 books, which exceeded my goal of 300 books. I gathered up some friends who were ready to help, and we drove to a local hospital and gave all the books to kids fighting cancer. So I went back to the school in Compton, several times to read actually, secretly hoping to find the girl with no books. I never saw her again. But I can tell you this, I always have books in my book bag to give it to kids that really want books at schools. Always. Robert F. Kennedy once said, "It's the tiny ripples that make up the big waves." And I have a similar thought to that. I think kids are like tiny ripples in the ocean. And if you tell an idea to one of them, you could create a humongous wave or tsunami. Now, I'm 10 years old. I'm double digits. And it still is great to get lost in an amazing book. I still volunteer with Miss Robin, and I gave my red cape to my little brother, who thinks he has supersonic speed abilities. I've learned entrepreneurial skills like how to raise money, go after grants, and ask for tons of help. I'm working with cool people with big hearts who are helping me donate thousands of books to build libraries in Peru, the Philippines, and my next stop is a book and boot drop in Guatemala. But most importantly, I've learned that nobody in the world has superpowers, and the real heroes don't find their magic in a shiny cape. The power is right here and right here. The power is in all of us. We just have to find our special skills and decide to share them. Thank you.
That was fantastic, Debbie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire...
Apologize for that.
Thank you all for listening. I do appreciate it.
Okay, sorry about that. Again, adventures in virtual programming. Not everything is going to be perfectly smooth all the time. So we do have, we actually have maybe a request for your guest speaking engagement here from Paul. He says, Debbie, I keep a listing of potential virtual and live program speakers for area Lions clubs. May I add you to the list?
Sure. Thank you.
Oh, we've got some great comments in the chat. That video was very inspiring, brought Sarah almost to tears. People thought that was a fantastic video and very timely and very on point with what we're talking about today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. This has been a pleasure. And I hope if we ever have the opportunity to do this again, we can do it face to face, and there can be lots of voices going on at the same time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Debbie, I apologize for flubbing your introduction earlier. Again, my apologies. Everybody, Debbie Cahoon, the Vice President of Community Investment for the Community Foundation of the Lowcountry. Figured we'd just try a little take two.
Thank you. Thank you. That basically means I'm the program officer.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everybody. If you have any questions for Debbie, please, you can continue to put them into the chat and we will be sure to get those questions to her and get answers. At this time, we are going to go ahead and break for lunch. We are going to keep the Zoom open for a couple of minutes for any more questions or comments so we can capture them. Then we will be closing the Zoom for about 30 minutes. Then you will receive another email. You could use the same link that you joined this morning, but we're going to resend it just in case any emails got deleted to rejoin the conversation. And that's going to be at 1 o'clock, when we're going to have Jimmy Wooten, the Community Engagement Manager with the Greenville County Library System. So again, thank you so much, Debbie, for taking some time to offer us some education and some insight. And thank you, everybody. It was a very interesting and informative morning so far, and we will see you all back here right after lunch at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.